got college football 3 days away, and a Big Ten game to start it all off, and a couple other ones, UCLA, Hawaii, Illinois, and Nebraska. And this is a big deal for Brett Bielema, the initial coach at Illinois, or the new coach at Illinois, and of course Scott Frost, who's now, I think, in his third or fourth season at Nebraska, and is somewhat on a warm seat as they go through I guess it's a minor NCAA investigation using analysts as coaches, and as they get ready to try to turn that thing around up at Nebraska, which I'm not sure how they're going to do it with the players they have. But at any rate, we got college football coming on Saturday, and my Yankees continue to just roll right along. Hottest team in baseball, winners of 2 straight in Atlanta. The Braves now have 2 days off before they start a series against San Francisco at home in Atlanta. But the Yankees haven't won 13 straight games since 1985, and this team is doing it without a couple of infielders who usually start for them. And it's pretty amazing, if you ask me, since the All-Star break, how these guys have put themselves in position to maybe even win the division as they're chasing Tampa Bay 4 games back. So a lot going on, QB, but college football is really about to begin, and that's what I'm excited about.
Well, we got some news and notes from the National Football League. JC's team to win the Super Bowl took a hit when they lost their tailback, Travis Etienne. Oh, he's out for the year for the Jags.
Poor Jacksonville.
You still think they can win 7 games, JC?
No, I'm starting to change my mind a little bit.
You saw the talent that they have in 2 games.
Well, and I'm not one to make a big deal out of preseason, but I think Jacksonville's trying to find out who can play, and it doesn't look like right now they've got a whole lot of guys out there. And I don't know. I'm sure there's a couple guys they're not playing right now that they will have available when the season starts in Houston. And somehow Vegas thinks they're going to go 1-0 too because they're a 3-point favorite at Houston in a few weeks. I don't know, man. I tell you what, when you looked at the difference between the way the Saints ran offense in that second preseason game and the difficulty Jacksonville had just getting a first down, and then when you saw how even with Jacksonville was covering receivers that had pretty good coverage on them, the other team, the Saints were still able to score. Jameis looked great, and he'll certainly probably be the starter in New Orleans. But for Jacksonville, I didn't know it was this futile.
I told you they don't have good talent. Their talent's terrible.
It's too bad.
Did you see that one of your other teams traded for a running back?
Well, the Rams are going to get Sony Michel. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, and so Sony Michel is having a pretty good preseason. He's always been bothered by injuries of some sort, and usually running backs are, or many of them are. But the Rams need it because Cam Akers is out with an Achilles tendon. It looks like Darrell Henderson's got a thumb injury, and they're definitely going to need Sony Michel. I think they did a pretty good job there getting a pretty good running back from New England. Mm-hmm. And only giving up either a 5th and 6th round pick or a compensatory 4th round pick. So it's one of those two. It'll probably be that 4th round compensatory pick, which means they'll get their 5th and 6th picks back. But at any rate, they need somebody. They need some depth. And, Matthew Stafford's going to need somebody in the backfield there. So the Rams, they're doing it without draft picks. They're doing it with injuries, but they've got a lot of good players. They are one of the favorites to win in the NFC. So we'll see if it transpires. They got to stay healthy, though.
We got a bunch of Facebook Lives here. I want to read them. I just missed the one that John was talking about, the alliance. If Evan, if
this
you could send that to me.
This is a big story, dude. I mean,
it is, but it isn't. Richard says, sounds like they will be patient with Trask. Trask is going to be the 3rd quarterback.
Oh, Tampa? Yeah.
For him to he didn't play real well the other night. He's throwing the ball down the field way too much. His completion percentage is terrible. But he will be the 3rd quarterback.
You're not going to see him play, folks. He's not going to play. Okay.
No, he's not going to play at all because if Brady goes down, Blaine Gabbert is going in the game.
Sure, it is. Yeah, and how often do we see Brady really go down for an extended period of time? It hasn't happened often. It did a couple times during his career in New England, but usually he's going to finish it out. I think this thing with the expansion, is a much to do about nothing. It sounds like a little way of crisis management that these other conferences are trying to undergo. And Maisel is going to tell you more about it, of course, at the bottom of the hour.
Yeah. So John's Facebook Live brought to you by Madeline Law said, after watching the Alliance press conference yesterday, it virtually means nothing. I don't see what all the excitement was about. That's what I said. I was on Buddy Martin's show the other night, and I'm like, what's the big deal about this? It means absolutely nothing.
Well, what I think the attempt is going to be is to try to send the playoffs and multiple games to market, meaning they want to see or try to create a way where ESPN and the SEC don't dictate television terms going forward.
But do they realize? Do they realize that the ACC is controlled by the ESPN as well?
You know, that is something that new commissioner in the ACC is going to have to deal with, is that ridiculous 2036 contract they're under. But the contract for the Pac-12 and the Big Ten expire in 2023 and 2024, I think. So it's coming up. So they're going to work on something. But what I think this is, more than anything, is to try to get 4 million households to watch football games. And Andy Staples wrote a great piece in The Athletic that I would highly recommend anybody who wants to understand the business side of college football, with the television rights and the television money that's available, to read that story in The Athletic by Andy Staples about trying to achieve a system where you can get households with at least a 4 million household viewership model, where you can really sell and generate the most revenues. And this is about television. That's what this is about. And this is about bringing the college football playoff or some form of it to the market, and not have ESPN and the SEC dictate how a 12-team playoff or an 8-team playoff is done.
Let me fill those folks in the alliance with your 12-team playoff system. And I don't care if Nickelodeon carries it. Guess what? There's going to be 3 or 4 SEC teams in that playoff.
No, I mean, that's great. But when you add more teams, when you add 8 teams to an existing playoff model, I don't see there's any doubt that could happen. But it's also going to be inclusive of the other conferences in a much more broad way. But
how?
Because
here's my
point. 12 teams
here,
now. That's how.
I understand that, but I don't understand. Okay, so ESPN carries the 12-team playoff right now. If it started today, okay. ESPN is not saying we're not going to take Oregon, USC, or Ohio State or Michigan if they're not one of the best teams.
No,
that makes absolutely no sense to me.
No, well, we know what the model is. We've already talked about it.
Okay, so my point is, whether it's ESPN, Fox, ABC, Nickelodeon, Country Music Television, doesn't matter who's carrying it. The same people in America are going to watch it.
Well, it's about control. That's all I'm telling you. It's about control. But they don't want to monopolize the television package. Okay, that's the whole deal.
Okay, so let's just say we just let Fox, who is a Big Ten, Pac-12 affiliate. Fox wants to run the 12-team playoff. You're going to sit here and tell me that whoever's in charge of that committee that votes on the top 12 teams, since Fox is carrying it and Fox does not carry the SEC, the 4 best teams in the SEC aren't going to be in it?
Remember, we're not voting for 12 teams. Okay,
what are we voting for then?
Well, you have the 5 power conferences, group of 5, if there still is 5 power conferences by this time, because this is not slated to start until 2026. 5 power conference champions, group of 5 champion, and then 6 at-larges. So there's already 6 teams that are predetermined. Then you have the 6 at-larges. So you're not picking 12 teams. But what you are doing
the
is
other 6, the committee is going to take the best 6 teams. It doesn't matter what network is carrying them.
No,
it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, no, it's not dumb. It's about trying to keep the SEC and ESPN as the more or less the market makers for television. That's why they're doing it, QB. It's about television. Read those.
It's about television, but when it comes down to taking the best team, regardless if they're in the damn Big West Conference, it doesn't matter who carries it. I understand they're pissed off at ESPN and the SEC. That's great. But still, the SEC has the better football team.
Maybe
so
television. Maybe television will dictate other things, more variables that go into the college football playoff. That's what you have to look at.
I agree with what John said. Tony Barnhart tweeted it as well. This is much to do about nothing. It really is nothing.
They've already got these contractual obligations for many of these games between these conferences already in place. A lot of this is going to happen, down the road. And I don't really think it's a big deal either. I'm telling you, I just think that if there is a motivation behind it, it's going to be centered around television. That's what this whole thing about college football is about anyway.
Well,
we know that the playoffs and everything else, expansion, is about television.
Well, that's fine. If Fox carries the playoffs, trust me, Fox is going to want the best teams in the SEC playing in their playoff if they're going to control it that way.
I mean, great. Okay. If you have 5 teams in the SEC, which is a 16-team league, and those 5 teams have 10 wins,
it could easily happen.
Well, I mean, it could, but then, maybe teams get better in other conferences as well as we go through this decade, because you remember these television contracts and this expansion thing is a fluid situation. There's nothing set in stone.
I get it, but TV has nothing to do with putting the best teams in the tournament. That's the bottom line.
Okay, well, that's a different topic. We're not talking about that. That's what I'm talking about. Structurally organizing college football.
All right, we got a lot to talk about. This we're talking about stuff that really doesn't even matter because, like I said, I don't think it matters. All right, JC, turn your car or truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. This August, mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. We'll have Ivan Maisel talking about his new book in college football in the second portion of the show. But I had to bring this up. Did you see our man, you know who J.R. Smith is, right?
It's some basketball player, I think.
Yeah, he went right out of high school. He committed to North Carolina, but went straight to the NBA out of high school. He won 2 or 3 NBA championships. He's going back to school at North Carolina A&T, and he's on the golf team.
Oh.
At age 35.
And how tall is this guy? I think
6'5".
6'5", 6'6".
But he's a legitimate, real golfer. I mean, he's a good player.
I didn't know that.
But I just think it's funny. At 35 years old, he's going to be competing for North Carolina Central's golf team. I thought that was cool. The other thing I wanted to bring up, 24/7 Sports came out with the college football all-name team. I'm going to run through these. These are pretty cool. These are some good names. I don't know if I can pronounce them all, but here we go. JC on offense. We got General Booty at quarterback.
Yeah.
From running back, we got Cavassier Smoke, Tank Bigsby. Wide receiver, you got Fat Watts, Aju, John Michael Gillenborg, Brodarius Ham, Dylan Deathridge, Bayer Hunter, Dodge Saucer. Okay, that's your offense, all name team. Here's your defense. From Boston College, Shida Salah.
Oh, wait, say that again.
Shida Salah. Fish McWilliams, Octavius Oxendine, Big Cat Bryant, Chief Borders, who's a Gator, Bumper Pool, Power Eccles, your guy, Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yeah.
How about this guy's name at North Carolina?
I like Bumper Pool.
Here's DB at North Carolina. His name is Storm Duck.
Storm Duck. That's his name, Storm Duck. Yep. And you have a guy named Bumper Pool.
And then Smoke Monday
and Kool-Aid McKinstry.
How about this defensive back from your Wyoming Cowboys? His name is Buck Coors.
Buck. Yeah.
And then there's a defensive back from San Diego State. His name is these are their real names now. New Zealand Williams.
Yeah. These poor kids got to go through life with names like this. But hey, whatever makes people look right. So I guess that's great. Great. Hey, there's another thing that's coming this week, and I don't know. It seems sort of vague, but this George Kliavkoff of the Pac-12 says they are going to make an announcement about expanding their conference by Friday. Right. We haven't heard at all anything from Bob Bowlesby of the Big 12. He's in the witness protection program right now. I don't know if that conference is going to make it in the future, but if they do, they're going to have to add teams somehow. The problem they're having, though, is that there's no marketability with any of those teams with the television sets, and that's the issue right now. And I'm not so sure West Virginia is going to make it to the ACC, to tell you the truth. So Iowa State, what's going to happen to that program? Kansas. This is really amazing what's been happening during the offseason of college football. It's, I'm just glad we're going to talk about the games here soon. And, you heard about the news at LSU where basically they're going to require vaccination proof or a negative test or some sort. Do you know how hard it is to get into a game at Tiger Stadium 30 minutes before kickoff? It's virtually impossible.
You're going to have to go about an hour before now.
Impossible. You're going to literally have to leave your tailgate an hour and a half before you can walk into that stadium.
Well, here's my question.
At Georgia, where they put almost the same number of fans in their stadium, they don't have any. They basically went the polar opposite direction of LSU and New Orleans Saints and so forth. And there are reasons for this. I am convinced there are. But at Georgia, you don't need anything. There are no social distancing guidelines, no mask. They have just basically said we're back to 2016 or 17 or 18 or 19, whenever this thing started.
We know how crazy the Raging Cajuns, the Bayou Bengal fans are there.
Oh man!
How many of those people do you think are vaccinated? So my point is, there's not going to be a whole lot of people at the games.
Right. The state of Louisiana has one of the lowest vaccination rates in the country, period. That's a fact. Right now, we had, with the Saints game against the Jaguars, they had literally poking stations right there by the Superdome. Something like 100 people took a shot just to get into the Superdome for a preseason game against Jacksonville. These drunk Cajuns are going to watch a game at 7 o'clock at LSU. If they're not vaccinated, what I'm saying is, can you imagine the cluster going into that old stadium in Baton Rouge where the gates are not that wide? I've been there, bro. It takes a long time just to get through security. Now they're going to be asking you for this thing right here. So
you have yours handy, right?
There it is, right? Well, dude, I need it. I think you're going to need it. I think you're going to need it. I think everybody's going to need it. Hold on.
I don't need it at 8:18 on a Wednesday morning.
You got one?
Yeah, but I don't even.
Do you know where it is?
I don't know where it is.
I already knew that you didn't know where it was. You better go get back to the pharmacy and get one, bro. Because I'm just saying that's the way this seems to be going. Except at Georgia, in Athens, Georgia, they don't care.
If you got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back, and won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics.
I knew that.
No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule a free consultation at QC Kinetics. Give them a call. It's 352-400-4550. All right, JC. Before we get to our man, Ivan Maisel.
I knew you didn't know where your card was.
Yeah, I got it somewhere. Somewhere over there. Let's get to our peach dentistry.
Picks? Is this a part of the show where we get to hear you say, "Give me Xander Shop"?
Well, I guarantee you, we can poll all our listeners, and they probably can pick my 3 golfers, and I'm damn sure they can pick your 3 golfers.
Well, I'm going to throw you for a loop this weekend. Yeah. So what do you think of that?
Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com and join us today. And starting, I guess, Friday, we'll have our Peachland Dentistry college football pick starting.
Well, we have
game starts Saturday, right?
Yeah, yes. 5 games on Saturday. I said that
we're going to have
15 minutes ago.
We're going to have to get our wonderful producer to actually keep stats because your stats were horrible. What? Sometimes you write them down and you can't find them. So anyway,
me or him? You talking to him or me?
Dan says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law. He goes, Georgia doesn't look at the players' grades. Why would they look at the fans' COVID status?
Gator fan for you.
All right, JC, you go first.
Gator fans on the Georgia Bulldogs already. That's the big game, man. Somebody told me the only relevance of the city of Jacksonville was that one day a year. I know that's not true. That can't be true. All right, here we go. I'm going to pick different golfers because I have a little bit more variety than you do usually. So I'm going to go with Daniel Berger at the BMW Championship this weekend and break through and win. He had a great start to the season, but he's kind of cooled off throughout the middle of the year and toward the end. So I think he's going to show up and play well this weekend. I think it's time for him.
And let all our listeners know with the BMW Championship, this is the playoffs. I want to say the top 30 players from this event move on. Is that right?
something like that. Yeah, and the defending
so
champion
is sure
well, no, they do whittle down the field as they move forward. Yes, they do. John Rahm, by the way, is your defending champion, QB.
All right, you're taking. Who did you say you were taking?
I'm taking Daniel Berger. Write it down, QB.
You're taking the semi. All right, I'm going to take. I'm going to take our neighbor from down the street.
Oh yeah,
Louis Oosthuizen.
Okay, yeah. I mean, who knows that guy? He is as close as they get. I'm going to go with one of your guys because I think he's having maybe the best year in golf right now. He's one of them anyway, and that'd be Colin Morikawa. Give me him.
All right.
Give me Colin. I like his game, man. Love his game, actually.
I'm going to go with a dude who is playing unbelievable golf. And I guarantee you, if we put his picture up on the screen, not one, I shouldn't say that. I bet about 2% of all our listeners would think he's like in a punk rock band or a country music singer.
Yeah.
Cameron Smith.
You're going with him? Really?
Man, he lost to Tony Finau in the playoff.
I know. He did play well.
Dude shot 60 this week.
He did have yeah. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I will finish off.
He's only a third place in the FedEx Cup. That's how good he is.
Yeah, they're all good, QB. I'm not going to take Rahm or Justin Thomas this weekend because you laugh at me because that's who I always pick, even though it's been justified this year. I'm going to take Jordan Spieth. I'm going to go with Jordan Spieth. Yep, Jordan Spieth, Kyle Morikawa, Daniel Berger. Those are my three. Go with it, baby.
All right, I am taking Hideki Matsuyama.
Okay. All right, there you have it.
All right, there are our picks.
Those are our picks. And then
hopefully
Friday,
the weather holds off. They're playing up in Maryland, and should be good.
Well, it will be. And, I don't really look at golf as hard, but when it's as good as it was last weekend, it's hard to miss it. But once football gets started, and listen, I know you don't get all excited about Nebraska and Illinois, but I do because it is a conference game with a coach that's embattled right now, mired in some sort of controversy with the NCAA, having a rough run as the favored son of a school he played at, and a new coach who has had success in the Big Ten at Wisconsin, now at Illinois, playing with 26, I want to say, close to 26 graduates are on that team. Those are all players who left or are done with school, but they have eligibility, and that is the oldest team in football right now, other than maybe BYU, and that's Illinois. So we'll see how
BYU's always the oldest team.
Yeah, but we'll see how Brett Bielema can turn things around at Illinois, replacing Lovie Smith. He was successful at Wisconsin. He had his troubles at Arkansas, but he was successful at Wisconsin in that conference. So Illinois and Nebraska.
At Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Comfort Temp's now hiring team members with all levels of experience, great culture and benefits, and opportunity for growth. $1,000 signing bonus. Give Comfort Temp a call, 352-376-2366.
What are you going to ask Ivan Maisel? What's the big
Well, let me tell you what. Let me just tell you real quick what happened on this day in sports in 1986.
Sure.
Mark McGwire, who was playing with the Oakland A's at that time, hit his first major league home run on this day. Do you remember watching that?
No. But I do remember him quite well. He looked very different at the end of his career than he did at the beginning of his career. Much like Barry Bonds, whose head went from this big to that big, meaning in size. He gained weight in his head. So I don't know. Mark McGwire, okay. Sammy Sosa, Rafael Palmeiro, Jose Canseco. That was a Roger Clemens.
What would you like for me to ask Ivan Maisel, JC?
Well, I want you to ask him, what do they hope to accomplish with this alliance, this non-contractual alliance, and ask him what he thinks about the idea that the Pac-12 might announce some sort of expansion on Friday, if that's indeed what they're trying to do, because this guy made it a point that by Friday they were going to have some announcement on expansion. I'm curious what the Pac-12 is going to do. The Big Ten has 14 teams. The SEC will now soon have 16 teams. The ACC has 14 teams. The Big 12 has soon 8. And then you've got the Pac-12. I think they're going to add 2 teams. But when you think about Wake Forest and Utah moving the needle, I'm not so sure about that. But maybe Florida State at Oregon would move the needle. I don't know. These are things you got to ask.
Florida State what?
Well, you could have a game where eventually Florida State plays the Oregon Ducks in Tallahassee. Right. You could have any of this kind of stuff. That's interesting to me. It's a lot better than watching Florida State play Jacksonville State, which is what you want to do. I don't. Neither does anybody else in America. So I don't. That's what I'm saying.
Point.
That's what
here's
I'm saying.
My point. I don't care who they play. I don't know how it's going to change their conference viewing on one game. I want you to think about all these not preseason games, but these games that are these kickoff classics or whatever. The Alabamas against USC, Alabama against Miami, Florida State against. Have any of them been worth a damn?
Well, no.
There's my point.
Alabama has taken care of business.
Well, I'm just saying there's only been one that I can think of. And it's not just Alabama. Ole Miss played Florida State a few years ago in Orlando. Yeah. The only one that I can think of that has been power conference against power conference to kick the season off that was exciting and came down to the end was Auburn played Oregon, and Patrick Nix or Bo Nix. Remember, he just threw a ball up and they caught it, and then they won the game.
Patrick Nix watched it though from the stands. Yeah, but both through the pass because Oregon can't defend a pass on fourth down. So yeah, absolutely.
But none of those games have been competitive.
Well, you're right. I mean, they have been somewhat of a dud, much like the college football playoff. Honestly, some of those games they've been awful, and. The only one I can remember that was truly thrilling was Georgia and Oklahoma. I mean, there are many good games. Clemson, Alabama played great games. But a lot of those college football playoff games have been duds as well, QB. You know this. I mean,
but that's – I mean, they put those teams together because of their rankings. Real quick, I want to look at let's see. I wanted to see who those kickoff games are against. I'm pulling it up here. It is, if I can find it. But where are you
looking at? What are you looking at?
I'm looking for those so-called big-time games to kick the season off. We know Georgia and Clemson. Alabama's playing Miami.
You're going to have Florida State play Notre Dame.
Which is going to be a blowout.
It's still what they would consider a marquee level game between two iconic programs.
I would rather watch Texas and Louisiana Lafayette.
Well, yeah, you're going to have that chance. You will have that chance to watch that game. But when that day happens remember this is Labor Day weekend, right? So there is no pro football. So you're going to have Tennessee and Bowling Green. Okay, let me backtrack for a minute. You're going to have on that Sunday, after all those games on Saturday, you're going to have some, I guess, games that you're going to sit around and watch. You're going to watch Notre Dame play FSU, and then on Monday night, Labor Day night, you're going to watch Louisville play Mississippi. You're just going to watch it. So
I will watch it. I don't care if it's 35-3 at half. I will still watch it.
And it might be after Mississippi scores 7 touchdowns in the first half.
Louisville ain't bad. Don't overlook them. But here's to the wonderful alliance of the Pac-12. You're going to get all you want of LSU because LSU's playing UCLA. Okay, right. There's one of the alliance can get some TV exposure.
Well, no, the SEC's not in the alliance. The SEC's not going to be in this great alliance.
I know, but I'm just saying.
There are many contractually made games prior to any of this rescheduling they're going to try to do.
Here's a preview of the alliance game right here. Okay. Oregon State is traveling to Purdue. That excites you?
Well, it's like I said, Utah and Wake Forest doesn't move the needle, but maybe Clemson and USC would. I don't know. I mean, listen, you're going to have games between conference teams that just don't get you going, but you're also going to probably have more games that are more interesting than watching these guys play Jacksonville State or Georgia Southern in the first weekend, and that's where it's going.
But JC, you're not understanding too. It's not like, okay, so you have your 8 or 9 conference games, and then you're going to be playing 3 other games against Power 5. No, it's going to be like one game. It's no different than what Florida's doing right now. Florida has SEC, and Florida has their game against Florida State, and then you have your other 2 filling games. Well, that's exactly what they're going to do.
Well, remember, the Big Ten plays 9 games, so does the Pac-12. There's a possibility they back that down to 8 so they can get these other interconference games. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff to work out, but this is what's in the news right now, and this is what he's going to talk about probably in greater depth here in the second part of this show.
All right, JC, we get to Ivan Maisel here.
All right.
Be safe.
Okay, we'll see you Friday.
Enjoy golf.
You bet.
That's JC joining us on the Titan MR hotline. We come back, we'll be joined by Ivan Maisel talking a little college football. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. South State Bank, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Carter Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Are you tired of being sidelined by nagging pain? Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and Dance with the Stars champion. Happy to tell you about QC Kinetics and their biologic therapies for treating pain without drugs or surgery.
Are you suffering from chronic pain in your hips, knees, shoulder, or lower back? Are you tired of living with arthritis pain? QC Kinetics offers natural pain treatment that can repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints.
Listen, I know pain, and I've seen firsthand how powerful biologic therapies can be. Patients at QC Kinetics rave about their result because they're getting their lives back. They are getting moving again.
These exciting regenerative treatments used to be available only to pro athletes like Emmitt. Now they're available to anyone thanks to QC Kinetics. Call today for your free consultation.
Get long-lasting results from my friends at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. In North Central Florida, call 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security Systems Studios, celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Bass Pro Shops, Nike, Le Macaron French Pastries, International Diamond Center, and the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. I want to thank JC for joining us on the Titan MR Hotline. We're now going to be joined by one of the best in the business, Ivan Maisel, talking a little college football. Good morning, Ivan. How are you?
Hey, Shane. Good. Sorry you get to see me in full workout mode. So
you were pumping some iron today, getting bigger, stronger, faster?
I'm getting bigger, just in the wrong direction. You know, I'm going horizontally instead of this way. Yeah.
I understand. Ivan, real quick before we jump into college football, and I want to talk about your book as well. You grew up in Mobile, Alabama, and you end up going to Stanford. How did that happen?
Honestly, Shane, somebody said to me when I was in high school, you should go to Stanford. That's a good school. And I thought, and this is how old I am. I went, oh, they're in the Pac-8. Okay. And that was about the extent of my research into it. So I was a complete blind squirrel on that deal. But it worked out very well. I had to repeat everything I said the first 6 weeks I was there because nobody could understand me.
Right.
But it was a long way away though.
So did you grow up a Bama or Auburn guy?
Both my parents went to Alabama, so I grew up in an Alabama house.
All right, that makes a lot of sense then. You worked for Sports Illustrated, ESPN for a long time now. You're with a company called On3.com. Tell us a little bit about what that's all about.
Well, the we started up. We've been online beginning August 1st. The official launch was 10 days ago. Really, all it is, Shane, is a group of guys on the business side who've had a lot of success in the college web space. Shannon Terry is the CEO. He and his group started Rivals.com and sold it to Yahoo. Then they started 247sports.com and sold it to CBS. So they know what they're doing. And they came to me and said, we want to build a new website with premium content, and we'd like you to, come join us. And I was trying to figure out in my post ESPN life what I wanted to do. Did I want to write books? Did I want to go back to work? Did I want to play golf and declare victory? And I just found, I decided I wasn't ready to do that. So the more I talked to them, the more I liked what they wanted to do, and it was that simple. I mean, the mission of On3 is to cover both the news and, for lack of a better word, the passion of college football. And that's really what I've been doing since even before you were in college.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people saw, I guess it was last year, maybe 2 years ago, was the 150 years of college football. You had a lot to do with that. Also, the Saturdays in the South. Man, that
had a lot to do with that.
Yeah. Well, that had to, how long did it take you and your people to put something like that together?
John Dahl was the executive producer of the whole project and did just an incredible job. And he and I first met in the spring of 2016. So really 3+ years. And we had each been nosing around in our neck of the ESPN woods. He was from 30 for 30 Films, and I do what I do. I was a writer on the website, and we were both aware through different means that 2019 was the 150th anniversary, and trying to drum up some interest in the building. And then we found one another. And once we did that, and we got a guy on the business side named Rob Temple, he was really good. And then we were off to the races. And it took us about a year to put together a plan and take it to the ESPN decision makers and say, this is what we want to do. And they were all in. And then it was just figuring out what it was we wanted to do with the 30+ hours of programming that we had available.
Yeah, it was awesome for sure. We're speaking with Ivan Maisel here on the Titan More Hotline. You can follow him on Twitter at Ivan_Maisel. Ivan, let's talk a little about what's going on in college football right now. Obviously, SEC, which you've covered a ton of. We're adding OU and Alabama, and now the other 3 major conferences are trying to form this alliance. Can you kind of explain to us what they're trying to do? I don't quite understand what the big deal is. I know they're trying to keep ESPN, the SEC, from kind of controlling college football. But regardless if they do form this alliance, SEC is still going to have the best teams. So I don't really care what they do. Can you kind of help us understand what's going on?
I'd love to help you if I understood it myself. The press conference yesterday, I think was met with a universal head scratch. Like, huh? They're not. It sounded, what yesterday sounded like was, we're doing this in response to the SEC, which of course that's what they're doing. But there's not. It didn't seem like there's really a solid plan there yet. And for one thing, Shane.
Did we lose him? We lost him. All right, we'll get our producer to get him back. We lost him for a second. We got a bad connection there, Evan? What do we got? Okay. Oh, he's back. There he is.
Okay, good. God, that was such a great point I was making too. No, seriously. If the point is we're trying to find something in the post-NCAA world to govern college athletics, then why wouldn't you put the SEC in that mix? So and if it's scheduling that they're interested in doing, their response was, Well, we can't do it now, but when we get around to more scheduling, we're going to do it. Well, we found out last year you can make up a schedule in about a day and a half if you have to. So I don't really understand that either. So I'm with you. I mean, I think yesterday really sort of muddied the waters as to what it is their mission is and what the point of it is, other than to sort of say nanny to the SEC.
Now, didn't the Pac-12 have something to say about they're going to announce some expansion this Friday?
Well, what the new commissioner, George Kliavkoff, said was, we've looked into expansion and we will tell you what we've decided on Friday. But what he said yesterday made it sound as if, I think he said yesterday that a lot of the things they were looking at vis-a-vis expansion can be achieved through this alliance, i.e. better scheduling. There's nobody out there for the Pac-12 in their time zones, the Pacific and the Mountain, who matches their academic standards. If you're gonna go look around in what's left of the Big 12, you're 2 time zones away, and that's really hard to do. If in a conference where you're playing a lot of different sports, that puts an undue financial burden on the program, not to mention on the kids themselves.
Hey, Chris Storing Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Storing Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with Ivan Maisel here on the Titan MR hotline. All right, before I got some more questions about OU in Texas, but I want you to talk about, you got your new book coming out. A lot of people may not understand what that book's all about, and I would love for you to kind of briefly explain it.
I'd be happy to. Thanks for asking. The book is called I Keep Trying to Catch His Eye. The publication date is October 26th. It's being published by Hachette. And the book is about our son, Max, who ended his life 6 years ago. He was 21 years old and a junior in college. It's really about my relationship with Max, what happened. We were not aware that he was struggling to the degree that he was, and just how we learned to carry our grief. Because you don't, as my wife says, we don't really deal in prepositions. You don't get over this. You don't go through it. You just learn to carry it with you. And that's what the book is about, with the idea, Shane, of explaining to people what happened to us and how we're dealing with it in a way that maybe it will help them deal either with grief or with people they know who are grieving.
Yeah. And so people, if they want to purchase it, can they pre-order this book?
Absolutely. Yes. If you go to my Twitter, Ivan _Maisel, Maisel, there's a pinned tweet with a link to pre-order it. I mean, wherever you buy books, whether it's Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, or an independent bookstore, which we all love, they can pre-order the book.
Good stuff, as always. Okay, back to the SEC. You've been covering college football for a long, long time. Do you like the move by the SEC adding Oklahoma and Texas?
I do. Once Texas and Oklahoma decided that they wanted to leave, everybody that blames the SEC for doing this, what was Greg Sankey going to say? No, but hey, thanks for stopping by. We're not interested. Of course, he was going to say yes. It's 2 of the premier programs and with great histories in the country. Not to mention that Texas is certainly one of the great public academic institutions in the country. So, I think it's really nothing but good for the SEC, and it will be fascinating to watch. This may be a way we get to 9 conference games, which was a goal that I certainly thought I'd never see. But clearly, Sankey has signaled that's what he wants to have happen, and I think it may make more sense with 4 14 pods, or however they decide to schedule, that 9 is the way to go.
Scott has question here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Do you think OU and Texas will be playing in the SEC next year?
No. And I think it's logistically possible, but I think the only way that happens is if it becomes so untenable for OU and Texas over the next 3 months, and throw in winter sports too. If their lives are so untenable in the league that they decide they need to go, but if they do that, they got to pay, I think, $76 million each. Is that right? It's some outlandish figure to get out, and that's a lot of money even for the University of Texas.
Yeah, that's true. I got a text on the Titan Mark text line. It comes from Brad. He wants to know, Ivan, what's the greatest sporting event you have ever covered?
Wow. Well, I've pretty much covered everything except I think a Stanley Cup. I've been to the Kentucky Derby, but I didn't cover it. I had a great time at the Barcelona Olympics in 1992. That was spectacular. I mean, if we limit it to football, I was at the Kick Six. I've been at every national championship game since 1987, except for the last one. So there are a lot, all those games are great memories. Colorado, Michigan, Hail Mary in 1994. I was there. I was in the stands for the play in 1982, Stanford Cal. So, I hadn't missed a whole lot, but probably if it was football, I'd say probably the Kick Six, just for the sheer, incredible 1 in a million ways that happened. Yeah.
Ivan, the 12-team playoff, we expect that's what's going to happen in a few years. Do you like it?
Yeah. I think 8 would probably be easier to digest and would have fewer problems, but I understood the reason to do 12. If the point is everybody's tuning out because it's the same 6 teams, then you want to get as many teams involved in November as you can. So yeah, okay. I was willing to go along with that.
And then when you look at college football this year, I mean, you got the same teams: Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, those type. Is there a surprise team that you think could come out of nowhere this year?
No. I mean, I think one thing we've figured out in the world in which has been created by the 14 playoff is that it's really hard for surprise teams. And, there's always unintended consequences to anything, Shane, but it seems like that's especially the case in college athletics. And, what nobody foresaw with the creation of the 14 playoff is the magnetic pull of getting into that playoff, to recruits. When the starting quarterbacks at Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, and Ohio State are all from Southern California, that's imbalanced, and nobody could have predicted that happening.
Wow, I didn't even think about that till you just said that. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why the Pac-12, one of the many reasons the Pac-12 is struggling, but we need to get back to where there's more teams from around the country that are in the hunt. And that's a great reason to have the 12-team playoff do it. Sorry, my dogs are scuffling.
That's okay. We love dogs on this show. Last thing before we let you go, which coach is on the hot seat? Is there one in your mind this year that better win, or they're gone?
Well, I think Clay Helton has endowed his hot seat, so that seems permanent. And I would wonder if UCLA doesn't. Okay, I'm moving. If UCLA doesn't get something happening this year, I think Chip Kelly, is. Sorry.
All good.
Complete chaos here.
Well, we'll let you go there, Ivan. Before we let you go,
yeah, I closed the room.
Yeah, that's fine. You could put the dog on screen. We love dogs. So anyway, before we let you go, one last time how people can buy your book, and also is on3.com a subscription site, or how does that work?
It's both. We're going to have an incredible. The recruiting team has an incredible cache of historical recruiting data that we're going to unveil this fall, and that will be subscription based, and a lot of the recruiting news will be subscription based. I am in front of the paywall, and I think most of our writing about college football will be in front of the paywall. So just come check it out at on3.com. And again, the book, if you go to my Twitter page, there's a pinned tweet right there, with a link. You can pre-order the book. And thank you for asking.
Yeah, good stuff as always. One of the best in the biz, if not the best. We appreciate you taking the time to join our program, and enjoy the college football season, Ivan.
You too, Shane. Have me back. I enjoyed it.
Well, yes, sir. That's Ivan Maisel. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. We're going to take our final time out of today's program, come back and wrap up this Wednesday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. South State Bank, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Silverback Concrete Company. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Center State Bank is now South State Bank, but they put business first. Understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State still has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. I want to thank JC and Ivan Maisel for joining our program. I can't wait to read his book. Obviously, losing your kid to suicide like that, it's got to be tough, but he's a tremendous writer, one of the best there ever was to cover college football. So go out and check out his book. Also, tomorrow we'll have Brent Beard, our college football analyst, on the program. And we'll also start our Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. High school football kicks off for real Friday night. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there, folks. Make sure you tune in tomorrow.
1st and 10. Matthews, near side, wide open, Alonzo Sullivan. He may go.